Welcome to another edition of the Good and Plenty podcast. I am your host, Jeff Goodman, and thanks for joining me. We have another really good show for you today. Fresh off the 14-year streak, Kansas' streak, ending, we have Jayhawks coach Bill Self to talk a little bit about the streak, tell some other stories. The story of how he didn't talk to me for about a year after a story that I wrote on Andrew Wiggins before he ever played his first game as a freshman. Some Joel Embiid stuff, the distractions that have faced his team on and off the court this year. Remember, you can subscribe to the pod, iTunes, Stitcher. You can go to CLNS Media. You can find me at Goodman Hoops. You can also find me at watchstadium.com. And please leave a review, preferably a good one, but if you want to hammer me, you can do what everybody else does on Twitter. I'm okay with that. But let's get to it. We have a good interview, good talk with Kansas coach Bill Self on Plenty, also his favorite burger joints. So here he is, Kansas coach Bill Self.
Today's episode of Good and Plenty is powered by betonline.ag. Go to clnsmedia.com/win and use the promo code CLNS50 to receive 50% cash back on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. Go to clnsmedia.com/win and use the promo code CLNS50 to receive 50% cash back on your first deposit.
Now pleased to welcome in Bill Self, Kansas head coach. And Bill, we're recording this on Wednesday, basically 24 hours after the streak officially ended. And when you woke up this morning, what did you think? Like, did you think it was a nightmare or anything?
First of all, it's hard to wake up if you never go to sleep. So that was probably that was first. No, nightmare's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think it's no. Although we didn't play well last night, I know you was definitely better than us and quicker to the ball and shot it better and those sorts of things. But the reality of it is, this thing wasn't going to last forever. We tried to make it last as long as we could, and got 14 years out of it. But certainly we've had a year where there's been a lot of uncertainty, and the guys have grinded through it fairly well, really pretty well in most situations. But the reality is that if we were going to be had, this would be the year to do it, because we just had so many things going on.
When did you realize that? When did you think, all right, you know what, we're in trouble?
To win the league?
Yeah.
So many people think that we lost the league. Now the season's over. The most important deal is just starting, and we're still going to be a relatively high-seeded team, I believe. But I knew that it would be really hard when Udoka went down.
Yeah.
When he went down, and we were already a player short with Silvio, that was a key reserve last year on a Final Four team. And when Doak went down, who I felt like, you can make a case for it. He's the best true old-school five-man there was in the country. As far as just back to the basket. Of course, there's not very many of those guys anymore like there used to be.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. But he was as big a presence as anybody had in the country. And, losing him obviously hurt us in ways of defensively and protecting the rim and a presence and scoring in tight. He led the country in field goal percentage last year. But one of the biggest things is it took the ball. It took one of our best weapons away from us, and that was Dedrick Lawson's passing.
Yeah.
Because he was the best lob thrower and Stokes scored so many easy passes just because Dedrick could get the ball to him. And now, we've had to play Dedrick at the 5 or maybe right now play a inexperienced 5 with him, and it's just not quite the same. But I knew when he went down, this was going to be a tough assignment.
I mean, it was almost like everything happened. Doak, D'Souza, LeGerald, Grimes is inconsistent. And then, the other thing,
Marcus Garrett missed a month too.
That's right.
Marcus Garrett missed a month too. So yeah, it's been an interesting conference season.
How much a year ago I watched Arizona get blown out by Buffalo after all the distractions they dealt with all year with the FBI probe. I watched Tom Izzo lose in the second round, I think, to Syracuse, and they weren't right all year because Izzo kind of went through everything. And you could tell it affected both Izzo and Sean Miller throughout the year. How much did everything going on with the FBI probe and NCAA how much does it affect you and therefore potentially affect your players?
Well, I'd be lying if I said it's not a constant thought. But I really think, Jeff, that we've done averaged a pretty good job of keeping that in perspective. The players that are presently playing on our team, they're not, Silvio is, but he's not presently playing. They're not involved in anything and in any way, shape, or form. So it's been a situation where I think the players have handled it okay, and I think the coaches have done a pretty good job. I'm not saying perfect, but a pretty good job of keeping things in perspective. And so if we don't play well, I don't think it's going to be because of that. I think it could be because of distractions, though. But the distractions aren't necessarily those distractions. This has been the one year where we've had more distractions on the court from a personnel standpoint than we've had in a lot of years. And Michigan State's going through it now with obviously with Langford and with Ward getting hurt, and I don't know how much longer he'll be out. And other schools have gone through it, but it's a little bit different when you go through it for a span of 3 or 4 games or 3 or 4 weeks. But when you go through it for a span of a season, like Langford or like Azubuike, that definitely changes a team overnight. And you can tinker with it, and you can get by with it in the short term, but it's hard to replace best players, and because over time, you're going to miss a guy and go get a shot at the end of the clock. You're going to miss a guy that can put the other team's 5-man in foul trouble. You're going to miss that guy that at some point in time, maybe you can camouflage it for a while, but there's going to be that one game where you got to have it.
So when I get stressed, and I'm sure you've been stressed this year with kind of everything that's gone on, whether it's on the court, off the court, everything. When I get stressed, I eat. I just eat. You, according to your coaching staff, you lost a bunch of weight this year. You look much thinner than I saw you maybe a year ago. How does that work? How can I?
Well, stress is great for weight loss.
Not for me.
In so many ways. No. In all honesty, I actually lost a little bit. I had a surgery in the summer that had to do some stuff with hernias in my stomach, and I lost some weight through surgery, and then I decided, I might as well go for it and try to, actually try to get right. And although I never got right, I got closer, and it's been a struggle to keep it off because I'm a stress eater as well, and my stress food isn't going to have a salad or fruit.
Yeah,
I want a double cheese loaded up, and so that's not always the best formula for success.
From where? Where's the double cheeseburger from?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anywhere.
Yeah, no. If there's a Brahms close, Whataburger or In-N-Out, and then Sonic's always been a standby here in town. So it doesn't matter much. I'm not biased in that way at all.
So where's your go-to though? If you had all those around, like for me, it's probably In-N-Out Burger. They're not around here in the Northeast. So like anytime in Vegas, like I'll eat In-N-Out Burger at 10:30, 11 in the morning. It doesn't matter to me.
And at 2:00 in the morning.
Yes, both. Unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, Vegas, all hours.
Yeah, if I'm west, I'd say In-N-Out. If I'm southwest, I'd probably say Whataburger. And if I'm Oklahoma, you got to do Brahms.
What's it called? Oklahoma's what?
Brahms.
I don't know it.
Brahms is the best.
Really?
Ice cream / food / mini supermarket that there is. I mean, yeah, it's you haven't lived until you've had a chance to experience a Brahms cheeseburger with a chocolate shake.
All right. Speaking of Oklahoma, I got a story fed to me that says that a certain reporter that I work with once padded your stats at Oklahoma State as a senior, your assist numbers. Is this true?
That's not true. Brett McMurphy did not do that. By definition, any pass that leads directly to a score is an assist. And I was a very good two-hand chest passer. And so I got a lot of assists when teams played zone, but I know Brett says that all the time, but that's not true at all.
I think we're gonna have to go back to the tape. Is there still tape from when you played?
I don't. There may be
black and white.
Probably black and white and VHS or whatever it used to be. I don't know. Beta. I don't know what it would be now, but trust me, those would not be fun tapes to watch. I actually. They had OU versus Oklahoma State on not too long ago, I guess, rivalry. They're ESPN's playing some of those rival games. And it actually had back when Tisdale was playing at OU, and we had a good team at OSU and played the game. And it was amazing. OU's daring me to shoot it from 16 feet. And, you're trying to get a step closer all the time. Times have changed a little bit.
You were like Rondo? You couldn't shoot?
Yeah, I wasn't like Rondo. Rondo was pretty good.
Right, no, but I'm just saying from how they guarded him.
I was like him in that one area.
So I got a great Wayman Tisdale story for you. So when teams came in to Boston, NBA teams, the first interview I ever did was with James Worthy when I was like 13 years old. My voice hadn't changed. He came into Boston. I went to the hotel and asked him to do a story. Anyway, so I did it with several NBA players. Did one on game day when Wayman Tisdale came in and played. I don't remember if he was with Sacramento or Indiana. I can't remember who he played for in the NBA, but I think it was a couple of those teams. And at the end of it, he asked me, he said, "Are you going to the game tonight?" I said, "Yeah, actually I am. Believe it or not, I'm going. My dad's taking me." He said, "All right, well, I'll have some tennis shoes for you after the game." So I tell my dad afterwards, I said, "Hey, Dad, going to the game, Wayman Tisdale's going to give me his tennis shoes, his sneakers after the game." So my dad's like, "Yeah, whatever." Sure enough, Wayman Tisdale walks out. It's obviously the building has changed now, the old garden. Walks out of the garden. I introduce myself. He pulls out his sneakers out of a big bag, duffel bag, signs them. And the coolest part is they're size 15s, which I eventually grew into wear size 15. I didn't really ever wear them, but he was about as classic guy as I've ever met. One of the class, and I met him several times after that.
Yeah, Wayman, it's getting off topic here, but, he has more to do with basketball in the state of Oklahoma. And people say, Oklahoma basketball, well, you got in the same recruiting class, you had Wayman Tisdale, Mark Price, and Steve Hale.
Ooh.
And in the same recruiting class in a small state, think about that. And Wayman was the first AP freshman All-American ever, the first one. And so, before Patrick was and all that stuff, he averaged 25 a game as a freshman. So he was a great guy and did more to get people excited and change the sport. And he was a better person than he was a player, and he was obviously a terrific player. And of course, he left us way too soon.
Sure,
I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago. But certainly, he left his mark for sure.
So have you forgiven me for the story I wrote on Andrew Wiggins after I interviewed him years ago?
Well, it just goes to show, your talent as a writer, that you can come up with, the guy's probably not going to be the number one pick because he didn't give you good eye contact.
There was not good eye contact. It was poor eye contact.
Yeah, I think he's rookie of the year. I'm not sure, but I think he was rookie of the year. But yeah, I had a hard time just understanding, because I could not read people quite as well as you making that determination based on eye contact.
I don't think you spoke to me the rest of the year. Seriously, I don't think you spoke to me that whole season. And then it probably didn't help with midway through the year. I put out a tweet that people still take the wrong way. And the tweet was, I would rather have Aaron Kraft for that year in college than Wiggins. I wasn't saying he's going to be a better NBA player, anything like that. I just said, Aaron Kraft, to me, was a better college player that year because he was older. He could really guard. Again, he couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
Wiggins obviously is making, millions and millions and hundreds of millions and whatever of dollars. So anyway.
Well, that's why you write.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know that I did TV and the big story that I broke. Remember at Baylor in Waco, huge story.
Huge story.
Right? I mean, it was monumental.
You came out strong after the game. You said that there is a chance that Joel Embiid could leave after his freshman year of college, or he could stay. and to my understanding, you only have two options: you could go or leave. And you hit it right on the head. You were able to nail them both, and I think you got like a lead in on ESPN for that bit of journalism.
I was accurate. That's all I know. I was accurate. I was not wrong.
Yeah. No, you weren't wrong. You played both sides well.
I did. I don't often do that, but I did it then, and it worked. One more break to tell you today's show is brought to you by The Athletic. If you haven't heard about The Athletic by now, you must be living under a rock. These guys have been crushing every element of sports coverage imaginable. Whether you're looking for specific local coverage with beat guys, sports discussed under a national lens, or anything and everything in between, make sure you take a look at The Athletic. No pop-ups, no ads, just high-quality content waiting behind every single click. Zach Harper, Frank Isola, Sam Amick, who is a guest in the show, Shams Charania, also a guest. They've got you covered in everything NBA related. If college hoops is more your style, then make sure you check out my guys Seth Davis, Dane O'Neill, Brian Hamilton. You can't get content like this anywhere else. 600 to 750 new articles a week. Who else is pushing out quality content like this? If you haven't signed up yet, take advantage of this deal because it's not going to last forever. Go to theathletic.com/Goodman. Get 40% off your monthly subscription. That's a subscription for less than $3 a month just by going to theathletic.com/Goodman. Shams, Amick, Harper, Seth Davis, Dane O'Neill, Brian Hamilton, all for less than $3 a month. Sign me up. Sign yourself up too. Athletic.com/Goodman. Joel Embiid is, what's your favorite Joel story? I mean, his personality, it wasn't like it is now when you got him. He didn't have that confidence, that swagger, that Twitter game that he's got now.
No, but he didn't at all. But he did have personality. He just didn't show. He was able to convince half of Lawrence that for initiation into his tribe, he had to kill a lion, and he actually had some people believe in it. But he was good. He was good. He's probably about as fun as anybody we've ever had here, and he certainly made the game fun for everybody around him.
So everybody thinks that you are going to be the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs at some point. Like, you hear this, I assume, all the time because of your relationship with R.C. Buford, who runs the Spurs. What, you guys went to high school together or Oklahoma State together or both?
No.
What is it?
We went to Oklahoma State, and then we roomed together when we were both here at Kansas. He was here with Larry at Kansas for 5 years or so, and I was here for 1, and we roomed together. But that's not true at all. That's a long ways from being accurate. RC and I never once talked about that. Anybody that brings that up or says that obviously is not in the know at all. But certainly, I kind of hope Pop goes forever. I think he's so good for our sport. I hope he continues to coach for as long as he possibly can.
I'm just glad I've never had to do an interview with him. I mean, imagine how badly I'd screw that thing up.
Yeah, if you screwed it up, you'd know about it.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you have any desire to coach in the NBA at some point? Is that something you've ever really given thought to, especially with watching, Brad Stevens and Billy Donovan, some of these guys go lately and have some success?
Oh, yeah. They both had a ton of success. And their personalities, at least to me, seem like they both fit perfectly where they're at. But, I think anybody that said they never thought about it would be probably not being truthful. But as far as any serious thought, I haven't given any serious thought. I honestly feel that you got to know your wheelhouse or your strengths, and I feel personally that and you've been around this place, it's not one of the best jobs in college. It's one of the best basketball jobs, period. And certainly, I've enjoyed, every moment being here at KU.
Well, and I've seen enough of your practices to know, and I don't know if you've thought about this too, of if you had to go college to NBA, how much would you have to change your approach? Because I've always said this, you and Izzo are similar in terms of tough love, right? I mean, you're going to get into guys, but you're going to put your arm around guys afterwards and make sure they know, you're there for them and that you believe in them. Can you do that in the NBA these days?
Well, I don't think that. I think that no matter what level you're at, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. You don't go from high school to college and coach the same way, or go from college to high school or whatever. You're going to have to adjust to personnel and personalities and those sorts of things. And I think one of the big challenges at the highest level would be coaching, guys and getting the most out of guys that all maybe are motivated by different things, and there's no right or wrong on motivation. And college is a little different. We're all motivated by team winning, those sorts of things. And so it is different. And I would think the guys that we've coached in college that have gone on to the NBA probably say, college was a lot different. But I think anybody would say that. I don't think it's a right or wrong deal. I think you tweak based on your clientele, and certainly with that being said, you got to get the most out of them and get them operating against their ceiling as much as they possibly can. And the way you do it in college may be a little bit different than the pros, but what I found out is kids want to get better regardless of how old they are. They want to get better. They want to improve. They want to be good. And I think if you can show them how they can improve and be good, I think they listen to you at whatever level.
All right, so going back to the streak, because that's what everybody probably wants to talk to you about today. Like, how many people mentioned the streak to you wherever you were today?
I had to stop off in the doctor's office today, and real sweet lady said, "Hey, I'm sorry, Coach. Tomorrow, next year will be a better year." I said, "This year's not over." And, well, we're not going to win the league. And I'm like going, well, it hadn't been that big a deal to win the league anyway. We get T-shirts, now that we don't win the league, it's a huge deal. So, but it's good. I think that kind of stuff is positive. I think it shows that my guys have been pretty consistent and raised the level of expectations here to a very high level, and not that it wasn't before, but probably even higher now. And certainly with that comes disappointment, and we've been spoiled here because we've had so many good guys, and they've been able to, execute and win close games and that kind of stuff. And this year we've got good guys, but we haven't been quite as fortunate. And we didn't get it done, and hopefully start another one next year.
How do you approach it, like, psychologically with this group? And are you trying to get them kind of back and feeling good, because I'm assuming they're feeling down right now? Or do you want them to kind of feel that way in a sense and have a little bit more, a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder here as they go forward to Big 12 tournament and NCAA tournament?
Well, I think the answer is yes on both. I don't want them to feel down, but I want them to have a chip. Yeah. So, the thing about it is if we don't talk about what we don't have. What we have is enough. Well, that's what I tell them all the time. What we have is enough. We just got to be better. And I got to be better. You got to be better. We got to be better. And we haven't been good enough, at least through the second season. But we still have a chance to get better and be as good as we can be the third season. And that's what we'll strive to do. And so I don't think it's any reason to beat anybody up because you're not going to win the league. We still got a chance to be a high seed in the tournament. And now we need to play well the last, week and a half or whatever. But so I'm excited about us moving forward. But I think there's some pressure on our guys that may be a little bit more for this team than most, because most teams had veterans and this team doesn't have any. We only have two guys that are playing presently that actually played in the game last year for us, Marcus and Mitch Lightfoot. And so it's a different group, and we're starting 4 freshmen, there's worse things that's happened to teams out there, but still, I don't think you should accept it. But I also don't think it's anything to be remotely down or embarrassed about either.
No, nobody is feeling sorry for you right now. Nobody, right? Around the country. You know that.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel sorry for a lot of people, regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
I do think this, and we don't look at it like this, and I will not share it with my guys and allow them to use it as an excuse, because that's not how we should look at this. But I don't think we caught a lot of breaks this year.
Yeah.
And usually when you win a league, regardless if it's Virginia in the ACC or Carolina in the ACC or Duke or Michigan or Michigan State or Purdue in the Big Ten or Tennessee or Kentucky or LSU in the SEC or K-State or Texas Tech and Arlington, usually the team that wins, they get a little lucky too. And we've had our fair share of good fortune over the years, and this year just kind of balanced out a little bit.
What's your best memory, your favorite memory of this? I mean, it's basically saying since the second year you were the head coach of Kansas, but is there something that stands out above all the others? I would assume, as far as the streak is concerned, not necessarily, obviously the championship would probably be the memory.
Yeah. Just to talk about just the league, we started out 1-2 in the league one year when Texas had LaMarcus Aldridge and P.J. Tucker and Daniel Gibson and all those dudes, and we started 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores, and we ended up tying them and winning the league tournament. So that was a fond memory to kind of get us off to a good start. But there's been one thing about our league, I think, Jeff, and you know this, even though it gets credit for being a good league, it doesn't get the same credit that a lot of leagues do. Well, not a league, but a couple of leagues do.
The ACC, in particular.
And the media attention, that go along with it.
Yeah.
But I think since we've been in the league, and granted A&M was in the league, Colorado was in the league, Nebraska was in the league, and Missouri was in the league, and then we had an influx. I mean, there's only been 2 or 3 schools that haven't at least made it.
It's amazing.
To the Elite Eight.
You're right.
Or the Sweet 16. Yeah. Like in our league right now, you can go down the list. West Virginia, Elite Eight.
Yeah.
You look at Oklahoma, Final Four. Oklahoma State with Eddie, Final Four. You got Kansas State with Frank and with Bruce, Elite Eight. You've got us. You've got Texas with Rick, Final Four.
Yeah.
You got Tech with Beard, Elite Eight. You got Baylor with Drew, Elite Eight. I mean, it is ridiculous how good our league has been, and I don't think it gets the credit nationally, because when you go and look at it, you have the same teams in so many leagues that are repeating being good. In our league, it's been
different
all
teams.
The time.
Yeah, it's been different teams. Yep. Other than you guys.
Different teams.
Yeah. It's rotated. Where in the ACC you've had, again, Duke, Carolina, and now Virginia every year. So you just, I guess.
And Louisville.
And Louisville and Syracuse. Yeah. I mean, that's where I tweeted out, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I tweeted out Tony Bennett's record over the last 6 years. It's insane, Bill, in the regular season. And people want to hammer. Like, there are some people that, again, kind of like they did with Mark Few, kind of like they did before you won it. Well, they haven't gotten to a Final Four under Tony Bennett. And I'm like, man, like what? Obviously, just watch him and what a good coach he is and how he does and how he develops players and gets guys for his system. And how do you knock Tony Bennett in the job he's done at Virginia? You can't.
No. Well, there's a lot of guys out there like that. Few is obviously, what he's done is ridiculous. But Virginia's in the same league with Carolina and Duke, and I don't know. I think they have a chance to win it for the 3rd year in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Fourth out of six.
Okay, so, but what impresses you most about Tony is, the pats on the back of winning the ACC tournament, and all that adoration with that goes with that, and then you stub your toe in the first round, and now you have the polar opposite of that now for a period of 9 months that you live with that. And could anybody in any program have handled any classier than they did?
Nobody.
And somehow have used that as motivation to probably make this team better. So, it's more than just winning games. I think that, they deserve a lot, as other people do too, as taking what would be perceived as how do you rebound from this to being stronger than ever.
What I assume, and maybe I'm assuming wrong, but at this point, is LeGerald Vick not coming back at this point? Is that pretty much it for LeGerald?
Well, it has no. I don't want to go that strong at all. But the reality is he's still taking a leave of absence now. It's a personal leave of absence, but the reality is, and I mentioned this tonight on my radio show, is the longer it goes on, we're going to be approaching a month. And the longer it goes on, it's not a lot of time to come back because, you could literally only have a couple of weeks of your season left. So we, it's getting close to the point probably where you would say it's not going to happen, but certainly it's not a reflection of a negative. It's this is what needs to happen, and he's taking some time and addressing what he needs to, and feeling much better for it. So I think there's a lot of positives going on with him, but it's not to the point where he's coming back yet. We do not know that.
What now? Have you had to reevaluate the expectations of this team now? Like going into the tournament, normally you're thinking, I assume every year, Final Four, and if things break right, who knows? You got a chance to play for a national title. Do you go into this one thinking a little bit different of like, or maybe every year you think second weekend, let's get in the second weekend, then maybe the Final Four. How do you approach this one? Is it any different because you don't have as many horses? Like this was going to be a team that was built on depth. I mean, really, that was the strength of this team to some degree. Now, size and depth, and you have neither now.
Yeah. The thing I would say is, I don't know why we have to alter what our ultimate goal is, but I think that we have to understand in order to have a chance to achieve it, it's going to be a much harder path. And there's not the same margin for error that maybe we've had in the past. Not that anybody has a ton of margin for error in the tournament, but you know that if you don't produce and you don't play well, then you're going to go home. And sometimes you might can get by with that a little bit. Never in the second weekend, but maybe in the first weekend. And that's certainly not going to be the case with us. We got to play. We'll have to play our butts off. First round, second round, and if you're fortunate enough to get to the Sweet 16, the one thing about it, you're in the game. I mean, you're in the game, and so you may have to play, your tails off obviously twice and have some things go right, but you're in the game, and we've had some teams that have beaten us that would beat teams like we have right now, and maybe we were a little bit more talented. So I know it can happen. But you got to be turned up and you got to be really focused and have some things fall your way in order to do that. So I won't alter expectations with our players, but we'll certainly understand what will happen if we don't approach this thing just right and maybe catch a break or two.
I know it was a long time since you were on the bubble, right? A long time. Maybe Illinois, before Illinois, maybe Tulsa. I don't know. I've said over and over here, and I don't know why. People ask me this. They're like, why has the bubble gotten worse? And we complain about it every year and saying it's worse than the year before. I don't think it is. I think it's just, you got some teams right now that are like 3-12 in their last 15, and they're in the bubble right now. I say go back to 64. I thought that was the number that was right, and I feel like the first four is something that, it's just okay. It doesn't do anything for me. I got to cover it, obviously. And there are some, obviously VCU went first four to Final Four. Do you have any opinion on? I mean, every coach wants it to go like 96 for job security for all you knuckleheads. I think that would be terrible. I think the right number was 64.
I don't think that we'll go backwards, though, Jeff. I think once we went to 68, it's not going to go to 64. That's just my opinion. And I do think
and certainly you can see it from the perspective of if you have 64, then 65 through 68 are going to be crushed. They don't get in. If you have 68, then 69 through 73 are going to be crushed. They don't get in. If you had 96, it would be 97 through 102 would be crushed.
Doubt. It doesn't matter. Right.
So there's so it's always, that's going to be relative. But my personal opinion is, I think having and I'm sure it can be done. But to me, we've done so many things to tweak our game to make it better. Whether it be the shot clock, whether it be the 3-point shooting, the 3-point shot, whether it be emphasis on rules, allowing more freedom of movement, whatever it is. There's been so many things that have enhanced our game. This is one I don't think we need to try to enhance it more. I think it's as good as it gets right now. And I'm not saying that, a case can't be made for more teams, and I would certainly be open to that. But I see it in kind of the way you do, in that I think that going bigger right now doesn't necessarily mean better.
Yeah, this is enough. What's the next major rule that you see changed? Do you think the 3-point line moves back further? Do you think the shot clock goes to 24 like the NBA? What's the next rule you see changed, or that you'd like to see changed?
For me, the biggest one would be the basket interference.
Yeah.
I wish we had the international rules where once the ball hits the rim, it's fair game, and you don't have judgment calls on basket interference. You can go get it. You can bat it out. You can go get it, and I think that would promote more activity. A lot of things that I think would be positive. I think that would be good for our game. I think there's a lot of things that's positive with our game. It's shot clock and reset the 20 and so many things that I think is good to create more possessions and hopefully more offense and it's more pleasing to the eye, to the general fan and those sorts of things. But I going to 24, I coached in the international game and I loved it. But it's a different game. Going to 24 and resetting to 14, that's a different game. And certainly I think it would be great. But I personally can't see that. I can't see that changing in the near future. And I can't, maybe they'll move back a little bit the line, but I think the one thing that could be changed to allow it to be better would be the basket interference type calls. And we've seen that in college basketball already, how it's affected games.
No doubt. We started earlier this year.
I think, and so I think that would be something. Hey, if it's on the rim, let the guys go get it.
By the way, I take credit for you getting your recruiting back on track. When you got Wiggins and Embiid, do you remember like the year or two before that I think I said your recruiting had really, really fallen off?
You said that we couldn't get any guys anymore.
You couldn't get any guys, right. And then you got I think I motivated you to get Wiggins and Embiid.
Yeah.
You know who the first one to tell me that Embiid was going to be the number one pick? He didn't end up going number one, I think, because he got hurt, was Rick Pitino.
Yeah. Boy, he was good.
Oh.
And he was good. And certainly, recruiting it's such an inexact deal. And some schools are able to, they got their niche and they're able to recruit to their niche. Ours is a little bit different because we want to recruit the highest level guys, but the reality of it is we the vast majority of our games with good players that became great players. And we've had Wiggs and Joel and some other guys, but Kelly Oubre was obviously a good one, things like that. But we haven't had a ton of them, and certainly Ben McLemore was one. But the Thomas Robinsons and the Morris twins and those type of guys, the Wayne Seldons and the Frank Masons and the Devontae Grahams. Those are what we basically, have kind of hung our hat on, and those are all 3 and 4 year guys. Even though we've had our most talented guys many times be our young guys, whether it be Josh or Joel or Wiggs, but the foundation has always been our older kids.
Did you think Grimes would be – because everybody else seemed to think Grimes was going to be one and done, McDonald's All-American, top 10 recruit, and he went off in that first game, made all those shots from three, and everybody, including myself, I'm thinking, all right, maybe this kid's going to be like a top 5 pick this year. And, obviously it's going to take him some time.
Well, I still think he's a pro, and I think if he comes out, I think he'll impress and certainly have an opportunity to be a first round pick. I believe that in my heart. It hasn't all been easy for him, but I'm not sure that's been all bad either. Even though we want it to be as
seamless,
easy to an extent as we can, but going through some crap also may be better for your long-term future too. And he's had to fight through some stuff, and I'm proud of him on how he has. But I coached him this summer in the under 18, and he was MVP of the tournament up in Canada, and had a great experience there. But it's been a little bit more challenging, and there's some other reasons for that. It's not all on him, but certainly he can still do everything that he dreamed of doing. And it's been a little bit harder. He's got to grind a little harder, but I know he can do it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking some time. You think you're going to sleep better tonight? Like, will tonight be a little bit easier for you to now accept the fact that this thing's over and maybe people won't ask you about it like I'm doing, all day?
It's kind of cool that people ask, because that means that there was actually something that happened.
It's true.
And there's pretty consistent, but it was never our motivation to win 14 or 15. It was always our motivation for this team to win its first, and we came up short, and now we just got to regroup and reevaluate and make sure we get back on track.
You were a young, spry 42-year-old when this thing started, I think. You know that?
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of it like that, but I think I was.
Yeah, I think you were too.
That makes me about. So how can I be 46 now?
Yeah, I don't think you're 46. Listen, we'll get your wife on to admit how old you are, but you're not 46. I think you're. I don't know. You got a few on me, and if you keep eating those burgers.
I got a decade on 46.
Listen, if you keep, you got to cut back on those burgers a little bit. What was the name of it again? The one I got to go to in Oklahoma?
Brahms.
Spell it.
Brahms. Yeah.
B-R-A-U-M.
B-R-A-U-M-S.
You Brahms. Act like I'm like an idiot that I've never heard of Brahms.
No. I can't believe you. Guys from the Northeast.
I'm a Boston guy. Like we got like Wahlburgers now. All right, that's the big one. That's the big one around here now. Wahlburgers. I don't really go to it. Yeah. I'm still a McDonald's guy, Bill. I'm a Big Mac McDonald's guy.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the
old school,
part of the routine as well from time to time. But hey, man, I got to go.
Right.
I got to get busy.
All right,
some work done.
Go get some work done. I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Hey sports fans, I'm Coach Nick of the B-Ball Breakdown podcast on the CLNS Media Network. I break down the NBA from a coach's perspective and have some of the best basketball minds join me weekly to discuss the latest NBA news and what's truly going on the court. Subscribe to the B-Ball Breakdown podcast wherever you get your podcasts or find us on clnsmedia.com. It's a great conversation. You in?